What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Low Luxury, and welcome back to Low Luxury Archive, where we are still diving deep into the archives of Demna Gvasalia at Balenciaga. We're quite a few pieces into this, and listen, there are no signs of letting up anytime soon because we've got another incredible piece here. This time, a bomber jacket. A cropped bomber jacket. We've already looked at a cropped leather jacket in this piece, and I'm curious to see the differences here. But this ain't just any cropped bomber jacket, okay? This is also a scarved cropped bomber jacket, okay? It's got like an attached super long scarf. Nice and puffy. Okay. Anyway, we're going to see the collection that this came from. We'll take a look at all the close details, and then we'll try it on and either try and, match or beat that original runway look. So let's dive in. Yo. Before we get too much further, subscribe to the channel. I make tons of luxury and streetwear content. And also, if you're looking for deals on luxury and streetwear, check the description. I've got some of the best sites with all authentic stuff. Check it out. Well, guess what, guys? You're not going to believe this. Actually, you're definitely going to believe this because this is not the first piece we've seen that does not appear in any Balenciaga collections proper. It's authentic. It's definitely a Balenciaga piece. It was from 2017 is the listed year, and these have been authenticated all over the place. It was definitely sold and made by Balenciaga, but they never showed it in any of these shows proper. There are definitely some similar pieces from this era that we can definitely look to. For example, in pre-fall 2017 women's collection, again, this is a women's bomber, that cropped style. Demna tends to do it for women. Interestingly, he was doing it at Vetements for men at the same time, I would say. This is a super grail piece right here, on grail, believe it or not. Very, very similar cut. This one's just hooded and obviously not scarred, but also a crop bomber with a similar shape and shoulder structure. But back to pre-fall 17. So this is the collection, or if you remember, there were lots of scarf details here. Mostly in this more like vampire teeth kind of looking thing, not as long as on this bomber. But they did make bombers with this kind of collar as well. But if we move on below, here we start to see some looks that are much, much closer to what we've got. These, of course, are puffer coats, but the padded element and the length of that scarf is much closer to what we have going on with our bomber here. And I'm already thinking that this is the look that we're going to try to work with later. And Demna also brought this motif back the next year in the Resort 2018 collection, where if we go, I believe it's way towards, oh, there it is, look 15. Again, we've got this padded, scarved look right here, but again, in more of a classic, Moncler-looking puffer coat rather than a bomber. So the bomber actually is quite unique. If we want to get a better look at it, we can see it here on the Real, where it sold for, Jesus, $1,000. Woo! Okay, yeah, so crop bomber, really cool fit, really elongated scarf here. There you go. Ours does not have this attachment, unfortunately, but you know what? We'll live. The branding, I know Demna loves the branding, but we'll live without it. All right, now that we know where this piece came from, let's take a look at the closer details. Oh my God. So you can already see it right here. We've got that very kind of pinch style for the cropped body, and then this crazy elongated scarf coming down. Oof, that is sick. Okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a look at the tags and such. So this was 2017, still using that thinner, more stretched out logo, black on white, and also still had the dot before Paris. This was probably from one of the last collections before they got rid of that. As we can see, this is tagged a size 38, so that's like a women's medium. All things Balenciaga, the sizing makes no sense, so we can kind of disregard that. We'll talk more about sizing later. And again, the older tags where it's like a matte black, very smooth, plasticky with that old logo, and we can see made in Tunisia, which is, they actually make quite a bit of Balenciaga stuff there. Our fabrication is, of course, nylon, but the trim is lamb. Lamb? Are you kidding me? Where's the lamb? Actually, I know exactly where it is. So that is the trim on the zippers is real lamb leather. You don't usually see that on regular old bomber jackets. I doubt they're using lamb leather for this stuff usually. This thing is just crazy. We can see that the zippers, they are fairly kind of like distressed and faded. A little bit of a patina to them. So it really looks like a vintage bomber. We can see that the interior is orange. Kind of like black and orange is an iconic color combo for bombers. And that interior nylon lining is like super silky soft. Like, it's real nice, you guys. Straightforward like knit collar, very classic bomber shape. But then at the hem, of course it has the knit hem, as any bomber should, but that's very, very thick and wide, as you can see. In context of the whole thing, I would say that's much, or not wider, I guess taller than your normal hem for a bomber jacket. We've got some snap flap pockets right here. Again, a really cool shape to these, kind of coming down, kind of matching that scarf motif on the other pieces that have that kind of like rabbit ear vampire teeth shape to it. Even the snap buttons, when you undo them, are kind of like aged a little bit. And inside there, it does turn to orange. Alright, I think it's time to talk about the scarf. So it's actually asymmetrical. If you were to snap it, we'll talk about the snaps later, and follow it down. When we're looking at it here, this side is the longer one, and this one is a little bit shorter, because when you wrap it, I think you want this one to go around the back, and this one to be at the front, so they're about even front and back. And at the back, we can see a nice clean stitch coming down there to split them. And let's take a look at how this scarf attaches. So it is a series of snap buttons here. So we could take this scarf off, use it separately, or just wear the bomber if we so pleased. And then underneath that scarf, you've got a very, very bunched up, elasticated back. So it's got a kind of curve to it. So this sits quite high on your back, and we'll see that in a bit. But that shape of the shoulders going down, it's a very like hulking shape, which I think is very, very Demna. We do have the pocket of the sleeve. This is where that logo piece was, the big kind of like red Balenciaga ribbon here. But otherwise, this is a fairly classic like arm pocket for a bomber jacket. Underneath the zip, when you unzip it, you've got a kind of like zigzag quilted guard here so that you don't end up ripping your lining. And you can see how bright orange that is in the way that the light kind of plays off of it. And another element that I really like here is that the inside of this, we've got snap buttons at both sides here. And since we are missing the branding element of that arm tag, I will just note for your pleasure that the back sides of these zippers are Balenciaga branded, kind of engraved in there. Now that we've checked out all of those details, it is time to put this piece on to see how it feels, see how it fits, and also see what we can do with that original runway look. Alright, so if you recall, we are going to be trying to use that original like puffer scarf look from the pre-fall 2017 collection. So, of course, we've got our outerwear here, and from there it's And from there, it's quite simple. So she is wearing leggings, and I'm going to translate those to skinny jeans. We've got a pair of All Saints skinny jeans here. She's wearing like some fairly open, like I think knife shoes, right? So we're also going to go kind of open, but for menswear, I decided to translate that to loafers. We've got our Ferragamo loafers there, and you should see a nice amount of foot in that. And finally, we've got some black bags associated with those. And for that, we're going to go with this Alix bag. It's also black nylon. It matches that jacket perfectly. So let's put these together and see how it looks. Oh man, there are so many elements to talk about here. I guess let's start with the fit. So as we saw, this is tagged a women's 38 or about a women's medium. And for once, I think it fits somewhat close to true to size because I'm generally a men's small or medium. I would say that this fits like a cropped men's small, maybe men's extra small. So the sleeves are just long enough for me. Same thing with the chest. Of course, the cropping, it's supposed to be cropped. There's nothing you can do about that unless you're like very, very short. This is always going to be cropped on you, especially as you can see in the back where it curves up across like the upper lower back. If I were to have my pick of the litter here, I probably would have bought like a women's size 40 or 42 for it to really fit perfectly on me. But as it is, I don't have any big problems with it. The feel is incredible. As I said, that nylon lining on the interior is crazy, crazy soft. And I would also say that this is slightly more padded than your average bomber, which makes it slightly warmer, which in the winter months is fantastic. Of course, we've got to talk about that scarf element. One thing I will say about that is that because the scarf is also the nylon on nylon gets a little slippery, and it's a bit hard to keep that scarf in place around the back. So I'll probably have to play around a bit and figure out the best ways to like tie it around the neck to make it stay perfectly where I want it to. However, I love the versatility of it. I love that I can just snap those off and I can have it separately as a scarf and just wear the bomber, or even not bring the scarf with me at all, or just go out with the scarf. You know, you've got options with this piece, and that's what I appreciate. And I also appreciate that this very clearly fits into a certain era of Balenciaga pieces where Demna was really, really into the scarf motifs. So another great archival piece here. So that is the scarf bomber from Balenciaga. Take a look at the other video on screen here, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you next time.